Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Patricia Coughlin again, and I'm going to continue with our theme of rupture and repair. The last time we talked about intentional disruptions to the relationship and, in a sense, right to the patient's typical way of functioning. This is really a very important job that we're doing to interrupt dysfunctional patterns that create suffering for the patient. And even though on some level that's what they want, they often resist it as well and get angry with us for messing around with their defenses. So we talked about that the last time. And today I want to talk to you about inadvertent, unconscious, unintentional disruptions to the therapeutic bond and the therapeutic alliance. Now, these can vary from true mistakes, like we forget an appointment or we double book, or there's been some kind of miscommunication and we don't show up when we're supposed to. And it's very important to both acknowledge if you made a mistake and to apologize. But that's not enough, right? We can't just leave it at that. Oh, sorry, I mixed up the dates. But to process, really to invite the patient to experience and express all the feelings that they have towards you regarding this mistake, and also to wonder about what the patient made it mean. They will often either attribute it to themselves. I'm easy to forget. I mean, it happens all the time. I'm just not very important to people, and I guess I'm not important to you either. Or they'll attribute it to you. Yeah, I figure you're just kind of, scatterbrained or whatever. Or they'll actually attribute it to a relationship factor, and they'll say, I think we just got our wires crossed. So that's very important to look at the way that patients tend to understand these failures, right? It turns out that even in the best and healthiest mother-infant interactions, they're out of sync 70% of the time. This notion that healthy relating is about being in constant attunement and alignment is simply wrong-headed. It turns out the research doesn't support that at all. So being out of sync is not a problem, it's the norm. And actually coming into conflict about our different needs is also the norm, and it's actually been built in to help us learn how to negotiate and also how to grow. So having disruptions that are attended to and repaired is going to increase trust in the relationship, and it's going to actually create resilience. So there is not only no need for us to try to be perfect, it's not even something that we would want to try to do. I mean, it's not healthy, right? All this tiptoeing around and being so careful, but yet having the confidence that if I step on somebody's toes inadvertently, that we will be able to sort that out. So first we're talking about just everyday mistakes like with scheduling and things like that. But the other ones that are often unintentional and unconscious have to do with what we call reenactments. We get sort of sucked into repeating a negative pattern with the patient. For example, patients who tend to be very passive and withdrawn, we might be sucked into becoming much too active and directive. And in that way, we keep that pattern of one up, one down, you getting into the driver's seat, having the patient just be a passenger. And that's not going to be therapeutic. So being able to catch that, I find myself falling into this trap. So first of all, you as a therapist have to catch it. You have to see that you're repeating an old pattern instead of elucidating it and changing it. And then it's your business to do so. So whether you just change course, which is one very viable option, or you realize, oh, you keep letting the patient diversify, or whatever it is that you're getting too passive, right? So the first thing is you can just change that. But if it's been something that you've engaged in for a while, again, you might want to even acknowledge your participation and say to the patient, I and in ISTDP, we videotape all of our sessions and review those sessions. And this is invaluable. I mean, you just don't see what you don't see when you're in there with the person. So by being able to review it yourself or get some supervision, you can catch, right, that you've been repeating some negative pattern. And you can even say, look, I was looking at the tape, or I was thinking, we've been kind of stuck, and I see that I'm participating in that. I tend to get too active and to kind of take over in response to your more passive stance. And that's actually not helping you. I mean, do you see that too? So you can engage the person in reflecting on this, and then in negotiating how you're going to be interacting in a way that's more productive. So that's another aspect of the therapeutic relationship that's really important. It's not just about collaborating, that the two of you are on the same page. Of course, that's important regarding, agreement on problems and tasks and goals, but that you're actually negotiating together. This is what happens in relationships. We have to realize that there's a me and a you, and how can we make a relationship that's big enough for both of us. So I'm remembering a case not too long ago of someone. It was a very successful case, but it had been quite complex, and it was like a 60-session treatment. And the patient said, I realize I've achieved my goals, and it's time to wrap up. And so I've decided that I'm going to, be terminating, and I thought we could take 4 more sessions or whatever. And I realized that, he was making this decision unilaterally, and that this again had been a problem in his life, right? He would either do what he wanted to do or submit to the other, right? But we want something healthy where both people are being considered. And so I said, it sounds like you've made that decision on your own. I wonder if you've considered discussing it with me, and that we could come up with a plan together. And again, this was like a new idea to him, because he had never had that modeled in his life before. So we're always having opportunities to pick up on these negative interactional patterns, and rather than participate in them, because if I had just been silent and gone along with his plan, I don't think that would have been ideal for him. So watching your tapes, paying attention to how you're feeling, tracking response to intervention. This is the most important thing that you can do. Is the patient moving forward? Are you getting stuck? And if so, you are probably participating in some way, in some kind of enactment, or you've been making some kind of, transferential mistake, or even you just had an idea that you were pursuing, and you were so excited about your idea, I have to press on defenses against closeness or something, that you're not really paying attention to the patient's response, and realizing, they're just not going along with this. They just don't agree. And so you have to step back and really listen and renegotiate. So I hope this is helpful. And again, don't worry about making mistakes. The most important thing is that you pick up on them quickly, and that you are able to repair them and process all the feelings and thoughts and judgments and attributions that the patient makes in the face of those errors. So let me know your experience with rupture and repair, and we'll continue this conversation. Thanks.